Thank you everybody for coming tonight. It is 6 o'clock. Today is December the 6th, 2022. Hopefully all of you aren't having panic attacks like the rest of us because your phone's not working. So, Verizon and AT&T's down, so I guess nobody's phones will go off tonight. But if you, I'll invite you to say a prayer with me today. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this many blessings you've done for us and given us, dear Lord. Thank you for sending your son Jesus to die for us. And forgive us for our sins. Watch over us and guide and direct us in everything that we say and do, that we'll honor and glorify you. Give us the wise, to make wise decisions for the city, the Lord, that will lead in the right direction. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you, everybody. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on November the 1st, 2022?
I'll motion to approve the minutes for the regular meeting on November 1st, 2022. I'll second.
Mr. Miller? Ms. Backus? Ms. Reed? Okay. Mr. Seegers is out in the minute.
He's on the way.
Very good, motion is carried, thank you. Do I have approval of the meeting for agenda for tonight?
I move that we approve the meeting agenda for our Darlington City Council meeting on Tuesday, December 6, 2022.
Second.
Mr. Nettles? Mr. Milling? Ms. Backus? Very good, motion is carried, thank you. All right, report of community events, the Darlington Downtown Revitalization Association.
Hello, I'm here on behalf of the DDRA, Darlington Downtown Revitalization Association Board. Real brief report, as we end our fiscal and calendar year, we have issued 8 grants to small businesses in the city of Darlington. It's not just restricted to downtown. We actually went over our budget, but that's okay. It's a good thing because we had so much activity and so many new businesses improving their facades and signs and so forth.
Okay.
This year we plan to focus on our bylaws and our original mission, which is economic development. We'll begin the year with an annual meeting, January the 8th, at the Blue Turblefish Coffee Company. And then we do have our 2 fundraisers planned for the spring. The golf tournament's April 13th. Still working on a date for the taste in conjunction with the racetrack, but you all will know as soon as we have a date. We also want to express our gratitude for Chief Washington, who stepped out, I guess, for his service and collaboration and all the events that we've done with him downtown, and wish him well. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. This is Matthew. I'm understanding the Chamber of Commerce will not have anything tonight.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, citizens wishing to speak again, please limit it to 5 minutes, and please be courteous and mindful as you speak. All right, Chief Washington, is Chief Washington? Chief.
I'm sorry. Hey, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, and Madam Clerk in her absence. As you all know, 4 years, 9 months, and
All right.
2 weeks ago we started this journey as the police chief here with the city of Darlington. When I got here, and we'll start with what we found when we got here. We had a police department that had been broken into, guns had been stolen, we had some issues at the clerk's office, we had some other issues at the PD that caused it to have a cloud hanging over it. And there were a couple of promises that I made to you all. First thing I said to you all was that I would bring credibility back to this agency, and we did that. I told you all that we would keep the city police department off the front page of all the newspapers with anything negative, and we've done that. I told you all that I would never do anything in my personal or private life to bring embarrassment to this city, and I never have. There were quite a few achievements that we were able to make, and I would just like to go over a few of them. We were able to get a grant for new body cameras, a grant for new in-car cameras. We updated our fleet of vehicles through USDA grants. We updated all of the bulletproof vests through a state grant. We got a grant for all new tasers for the officers. We got a local grant to be able to upgrade our pistols for all of the officers, as well as another local grant to get new AR-15s for all of the officers. We also offered and mandated in some cases counseling for some of the officers that we saw that needed counseling. We also received grant funding for new laptops, grant funding for new portable radios. We purchased new monitors and PCs in the office that cost the city nothing. We also had over about $50,000 in drug fund money that was just sitting in the bank in old cases that were just sitting there in evidence. And we were able to get judges' orders to release that money for us to be able to use. We created partnerships with Housing Authority using effective community policing strategies. We also created effective partnerships with our local school district. We met directly with the community last year to discuss the gun violence that we were having. We didn't step away from it, we stepped into it. We also were able, when I first got here, to establish a workable organizational chart that reflected fairness and equality in salaries for all of our police personnel. We've also fought, and we're still fighting, on the way out the door to raise salaries for all of our public safety personnel, which you all have done some of that already. Romans 8:28 says, all things work together for the good for those who love the Lord.
Yes, indeed.
We've had our disagreements, we've had our fallouts, but again, all things work together for the good for those that love the Lord. And so we kept working together and we moved this city forward. Serving as police chief of the city of Darlington has been a wonderful experience, and I'm very grateful to have served the residents of this wonderful community. I thank the residents of Darlington for their continued support of this police department and its employees. I would also like to thank the city's leadership, the city's department heads, and other city officials for their assistance over the last 4.5 years. I would also like to offer a very special thank you to the staff of the Darlington Police Department for their hard work and dedication. These brave and courageous individuals work very hard each day to keep this community safe. The success of this agency begins with them, and I'm grateful to have served with this great group of professionals. Again, I thank them for their commitment to this community, and in closing, I wish the city of Darlington continued growth and success in the future. Thank you all, and I pray God's blessings upon all of you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pastor Kyle.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Pastor Kyle Meyer. I'm the senior pastor of Dominion Church located here in the city of Darlington. Our ministry has been very intentional over the years to support and be a system and a change in our community. One of the pillars, matter of fact, of our church is to be community-minded. Tonight I stand before the council because on March 21st of 2022, at approximately 2 p.m., I was contacted by the director of our Learning Center, which is our after-school program, to where we provide affordable after-school to families that may be struggling, located right at 1034 Pearl Street. But I was contacted by her because there was water rushing out of the front door of our location, and we had just recently, the month prior to, had renovated that building and put $65,000 of the ministry's money into the renovation cost. 40 minutes after I received the call of water rushing out of the building, I arrived at the location to find out what would later be known as 15,000 gallons of water that were pumped into that facility due to the negligence of a city worker turning on a water tap. The city of Darlington was in the area trying to discover a water leak, and in doing so, a water tap was turned on that dumped water into that location. But in doing so, they created a massive leak, turning that unused tap on into a building that had never been requested to be turned on, and causing that water to flow in, and it remained running until I contacted them to let them know that water was pouring out of our facility. I contacted ServPro because, being a construction professional prior to my work in the ministry for 15 years, being a custom home builder, water mitigation at its earliest stage is necessary to eliminate damages. Even with our quick response, we still were handed a $7,776.89 water mitigation bill from ServPro. I contacted our landlord, who's also our mayor, Curtis Boyd, to let him know, just make him aware of the situation. His counsel was to me to make sure we contacted our insurance company. I did. Contacted our insurance company. They came out. Unfortunately, our insurance company does not handle anything as far as the upfit of the structure. So then I contacted the city. I was in contact with Mr. Payne, city manager, Mr. Charles of the water division, and a insurance adjuster of the city came out, to which they all kind of pointed to the fact that it wasn't the city's fault, but point in case is that we had 15,000 gallons of water dumped into our facility. And this was in March, and here we are now, towards the end of the year, and I have since received a letter from the city's lawyer saying that nothing would be done. And I'm a father of 3, and there's a rule around my house that right is right and wrong is wrong. And when we do right, then right things come. But wrongs that are wrong need to be made right. I don't think it's fair to our ministry. I don't think it's fair to the people that have trusted in our ministry to be good stewards, to have to front a bill of over $20,000 due to the negligence of a city worker. Now granted, the water was turned on, and it was turned on into a line that, as they stated, was uncapped, and that it was. But the tap was never meant to be turned on. It didn't supply water to the facility. It was done through the negligence of a city worker trying to find a water leak. But I think the commonality is, when you try to find a water leak, I don't know why you turn water on. It was turned on, left on, flooded our facility with over 15,000 gallons of water. And the people of our ministry has had to front an additional over $20,000 out of pocket to replace flooring, sheetrock, and trim. And tonight, City Council, I come before you simply on the fact of right is right, wrong is wrong. And I would ask the City of Darlington, is Dominion Church wrong? Were we the cause of this? Absolutely not. There's no legitimate reason to say that we are at fault nor blame because of this. All that I would ask is that the responsible parties step up, admit what's wrong. I've been advised to contact a lawyer and sue. And let me go on record and be clear in saying this. Our heart of our ministry is to build a relationship with this city. And I do not believe that as grown people, it needs to be handled in court. I believe that grown people, if my kids know right is right, wrong is wrong, then why can't we, as grown people, know what's right, know what's wrong, and do the right thing? So, City of Darlington, I ask you tonight, will you do the right thing? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey,
Janie Latham?
before Ms. Latham comes, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is that okay? I just want, have you filed the actual claims that is required?
Yes, ma'am. We have filed claims with our insurance company, which
No,
stated,
with the city. We have our own.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep. And y'all's adjuster came out, and I received a letter from the city's lawyer, basically saying that the city would do nothing about it.
The adjuster said that it was not our responsibility, is what you're saying? Is that-
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay.
It was any kind of investigation. They did some kind of. The only reason I'm questioning this, is because someone would need to identify who turned the water on,
Absolutely, and a city official.
regardless of
Yeah,
whatever.
absolutely. A city official, a water department worker turned the water tap on.
I was called and told there was 11,000 gallons of water leak, and I,
Yeah, but who told,
Hold on a second,
who
hold on a second.
authorized that
hold on a
person?
second.
I'm sorry.
I was called first and told there was 11,000 gallon leak per hour from the city water department at the old KFC building before I sold it, when I was down there. We had the water turned on, weren't using any water. So I ran down there to find out where the leak was. No water leak in the building, nowhere. I called her back, I said, I don't see a leak nowhere. She said, well, you got 11,000 gallons an hour going out somewhere. I said, well, please turn the water off. She said she would. She called me back. She said, there'll be a fee to turn your water off and, for them to come out and turn your water off. I said, I don't care. There's 11,000 gallon leak somewhere. Turn the water off. So, when the guy came out to turn it off, we met him back in the woods back there to try to find out where the valves were in the woods back there. And he couldn't find for sure which one was what. So we left, me and Scott, went to Hartsville. When we come back, that was that morning. When we come back, I guess it was about 2:30 or so is when we found out that all the water was going in the building. He had gone back and turned the valve, trying to figure out which one it was. It was his negligence. He didn't deliberately try to do it, but he turned one on. Nobody's called and asked to have any water turned on. To have water turned on, you have to pay a tap fee or a water fee or whatever else to have turned on. Nobody asked for water to be turned on, but the water was turned on by accident, and it all went into that building. The adjuster come out, I wasn't there when the adjuster was there, because, again, it's my building, I rent to them, I didn't lose any damages, it was all their stuff that they had put in there, they lost. So,
All I was saying, and that's what the part I was trying to get to, who authorized the person to turn the water on,
Nobody.
period?
nobody.
And so, how then can the city say they don't have any responsibility?
I don't,
Thank you.
I don't either. I question that too, but because it's my building and I'm a mayor, I'm trying to stay out of it, so I don't.
Well, I'm not trying to stay out of it because that's in my ward and they had told me about that and I thought that the claim had been done, so.
It would seem to me that we may have a legal issue here, so I would like to have the matter put down for executive session when we meet in January, and arrangements be made with the adjuster to come and have the adjuster and others who would have some more knowledge than what I've got right now to tell me what the position of the city is and why this is the city's position. But I think that's best covered in executive session since it involves a particular legal matter. Since someone has advised you sue the city, I'd like to.
Sir,
I know
just
you're not planning
just to
on
be
it.
clear, when I say advise, I'm saying people. Never, I've stayed out of lawyer offices intentionally because I'm a grown man and y'all are grown people, and I felt like we could handle this as grown people without lawyers and lawsuits. I don't believe in that, I really don't.
And I'm not in any way casting an aspersion at you. I just want to hear what the adjuster says.
Sure.
And what the city water department people say about the thing, and think the best place for us to get that information would be in an executive session. And I'd like to,
Well, I mean, if
if
you
the mayor
think
and
that, but I mean,
others don't mind, put that down for January so we can address your concern.
Yes, sir, I
It-
really appreciate that.
it may be, but right now, because it's obviously a public situation, and they have made a decision, which is any of this city operation or transaction is public. I mean, we could go into executive session, but Pastor Kyle, they need to know that we will take some kind of positive steps.
Amen.
And that's what I want to hear here. I don't want it to be pushed off and get legal advice. Where is Kevin here tonight? He can tell us when that could be. I mean, just stop delaying it because this is all for y'all.
Thank you, Councilwoman, and it's dragged on long enough that the reason why I'm here tonight is because I felt like it's been swept under the rug, and I've been given the runaround. So unfortunately, I was put in a position that I felt like I needed to bring it to the city council to make sure everyone is aware. And the truth of it is some of y'all may not have been aware of it, and the reason why you probably weren't aware of it is because things were trying to be handled very cordially, very respectfully. We've got a great relationship with our city, we want to maintain the relationship with our city, but as I said, right is right, and wrong is wrong.
Appreciate your comment, and tonight's the first night I've heard of it.
Yes, sir.
I didn't know anything about it.
Thank you. And that was all intentional.
And also with that, and I agree with that need to be handled, need to be fixed. There's several other issues with the water department also that need to be fixed. With and I was gonna bring that up tonight. There's a gentleman that came to me and we went to the water department. He received a bill for $200 from the water department and they never came and turned his water on. He just got a bill. So now he's stuck with a $200 bill and they never turned the water on. Never even, and he's having an issue with selling that issue, and that need to also be discussed and settled, and all these other issues with that water department. Is a lot of issues that this council is just brushing away with that water department that need to be fixed. So all these things need to be settled.
All right, Sean? Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought Jane.
I'm sorry, Sean. Jane. I call her name and you decide to.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I can empathize with the pastor, and I hope some positive action will be taken between now and January so that this can finally be resolved. That's been a long time. And I echo the sentiments of Councilwoman Backus. We really should take a look at what's going on in our water department. For months now, I think 6 consecutive months, we have asked that we be presented with how much revenue is coming into the water department and what the expenditures are. And we've yet to receive that. Now, if we need to get a FOIA request to figure that out, we will, but we shouldn't have to do that. Just like we had to get a FOIA request to learn that the city manager gave the person who's in charge of the water department a $30,000 pay increase after this council had voted for a 2% and a 5% pay increase. And this was done while our citizens' water bills were increased in the middle of a pandemic and twice since then. We had a fake public hearing. We never had a public hearing to go over the water bill and why it was being raised. We were told that only 20% of all the residents in the city of Darlington used over 5,000 gallons of water. Hence, we were told that only 20% of the residents' water bill would be increased. Have you guys seen that data? This is the 3rd time I asked to see the data because based on what's going on, the average usage of water, the math just doesn't add up, and we need to know that. Also, given this significant increase in this one person's salary, Mayor, I asked if this council would consider pay increases for our police officers. And I think you said you were going to look into that. And hopefully tonight you can tell us whether we've had pay increase for our police officers who help and protect us so much and put their lives at risk to keep us safe every day. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank Chief Washington and also our assistant police chief and the entire police force for the excellent job they've done over the many years since I've been a resident in the city. Those are the major concerns that I have. When we look at the selection of our next police chief for our city, Mayor, I hope that you and the council will be involved in that process. given the fact that we have a strong city manager form of government, and given the fact that we hired someone as our city manager who had no experience at all in city management, I think it's incumbent upon you guys to stay close to decisions that's being made that affects all of us. The previous mayor and council opened it up for public input. You guys were involved in the panel for selection of our last police chief. You narrowed it down to 3. Those police officers came before this council, and we got to know them a little bit. They talked about their background. We knew if they were focused on community policing and what their philosophies were in terms of protecting us. We need that type of community input and involvement. And I would ask that you guys go through a similar process that you went through before. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baker.
You're welcome.
Sean,
Yeah, greetings, Mayor and Council. I have spoke to City Councilman Backus, the Mr. Gardner over here, and I spoke to the Congressman last week. And it's just something about the Water Department that's been weighing on me the beginning of last month. And the pastor spoke about the Water Department, and the young lady spoke about the Water Department. And I just can't talk about what's in my book unless I speak on the Water Department. And through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city manager, do you know about what the pastor's talking about and what she's talking about? I guess that means no. Let me just say this, I'm gonna take my seat. If this council does not be careful, she's gonna end up taking one of y'all's seats, because she does her homework, and she knows what she's talking about. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. Mr. Taylor.
I am here in the September meeting for my county. They charge me $100, still they charge me $100. And I got wrong meter. They changed my meter now. I got now use a gallon 3,000 every month. Now they coming good, but they charge me $100 promptly.
And your location's where? Where's your location at?
120 South Main Street.
What's the house or business?
My business place. My store.
Where? I'm not understanding, I'm sorry.
Opposite News and Press.
Uh-huh.
120 South Main Street.
And what's the situation?
He's getting charged $100 for a stormwater fee.
Oh,
And Mr. Boyd told me that's not right, but still they charged me last 5 years, that's $100 again. And they charged me last couple of years real high, just like 15,000 gallon, 14,000, and I don't get any refund or anything. And I think that meter is not good. And after they replace in November, after they come in just like 3,000 gallon every month.
The storm fee is calculated by the street sanitation department, but that's my understanding. We'll have to approach Alex to get about that, but my understanding that one should be between $25 and $50.
They used to charge me $8.50 every month.
Right.
And now $100 per month.
That's wrong.
And I've been in a city office for water department for complaint that's they say you got leakage, I got no leakage. But they say you got some leakage and they don't listen, they try to tell me what I was reading. So meter sometimes make a mistake. My average using 3,000 gallons per month.
And what is it going to now?
Now 3,000 just like.
Still staying
25,
3,000?
26, yeah, 3,000.
How many months has it been since you had a new meter?
Yeah, I got one letter and I got all reading and everything for last couple of years.
can't give you an answer today, but we will look into it.
We'll come
I'll
out.
assure you.
We'll come out there tomorrow.
Well, Alex,
I
you
want
know
to
the
come.
stormwater fee for commercial.
I asked them, so they said, sanitation department you have to call. I called them, I never get answer,
You call the street and sanitation department? They
Yeah.
never call you back?
never called me back.
What phone number are you giving them?
So,
843
843
206
206
591.
59.
What is the commercial stormwater fee, Alex?
It's all based on impervious surface, I would have to look at it and see. I'll look at it in the morning and find out.
so it's not a set fee for everybody for stormwater?
Based on impervious surface.
If $100 for one location, so every business location have $100, right?
Sir?
If my $100 business location, so every business location have to pay $100.
It's based on impervious surface, depending on the size of your lot, the impervious surface. I'll have to look at it on the map and see exactly what your impervious surface is, I don't know.
Because they told me just like you got more than 1 acre, that's why you got $100.
Yeah, 1 acre or more is $100. I don't know, what's your business, what business do you own?
Gas station.
Besides from the news and press.
It's where?
US Mint.
Oh, that business. Oh,
US Mint.
oh, okay, gotcha.
Shouldn't be there. Shouldn't be
And that's more than an acre.
That little lot, that's a small lot. That's an acre.
But that's I think too much, $8.50 to $100 per month.
it's not correct. We're correct.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll make sure that you have his phone number. You can write it down.
206-5919. Thank you. All right, let's see. Old business, second reading ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, can I make one comment before we go forward? Because there were some comments made earlier, they're just incorrect. As far as the water department, basic accounting will tell you that you can't, that running the water department's not like balancing your checkbook. You can't say, I brought in $10, I spent $7, so I have $3 left. The auditors, and I let Ms. Backus know this because I sent her an email, they will have their audit results for us in February. They have to make year-end journal entries, and they have to make adjustments. So there's no way that anybody in this city hall can give you the numbers that are being asked for. That will be presented in February by the auditor. Now, as far as the hiring of a police chief, under our form of government, city council has no input in that. That's on the city manager. I understand the way it was done last time, but that's not the way the law states that it should be done. So we're not gonna have that this time.
So y'all know what happened a week ago, right?
That's good, thank you.
Y'all know what happened a week
All
ago.
right, older business,
Let's see
second
what happened the
reading,
next time.
older business, second reading, ordinance
Excuse me.
number 2022.
I got another question.
Excuse me, annexation of Lock-In Drive, Mrs. Jones.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the second reading for the annexation of Lock-In Drive, which is the Patriot Chevrolet. They want to annex into the property, into the city. We did this, the first reading was November the 1st, and so this is just the second reading. Nothing was changed, no changes were requested by either the property owner or council.
I would make a motion that we approve second reading of ordinance number 2022-11,
I'll second.
which is the annexation of the lock-in property belonging to or utilized by Patriot Chevrolet.
I'll second.
Mills,
Yes.
Ms. Backus, Ms. Reed, Mr. Sears, very good. Motion is carried, thank you. All right.
I would like to take this opportunity to be able to, John, it's just hitting me the wrong way here. The way that, everybody's just suggesting, and see, we cannot ignore, and I understand, we cannot ignore the public response to what has happened with this police chief. This is a shadow on that. I understand what you're saying, but you cut me out. You cut me off, and that's something you said you would not do. I'm just simply responding to him. because
And
I
Lane,
do not like,
Lane, I'm gonna
Yes.
ask you to please sit down and let's stay on course, okay?
but we are.
Please sit
Did
down
he not
and
say
let's stay
that?
on course, okay?
Is that not on course?
No, it's not on course, you're off course. We're on
Okay,
new business.
so the statement that John Payne made is not part of this. It's not course.
Going into about.
Okay, well, I just want that to be in the minutes, that he's saying that that is off course.
That's good. New business, first reading, ordinance
This has to be dealt with.
2022-13, change,
Didn't have any problem
island
with Gloria
signs,
Bridge.
maximum height, Mrs. Jones.
We had no problem with Gloria Bridge.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Let's
Hallelujah.
please talk.
We had no
Thank you.
problem.
Listen, council.
Gloria Bridge.
Mr. Gardner, Mrs. Reed, please pay attention and let's go. Thank you.
My apologies.
So we're coming before you to change the sign ordinance as it relates to the pylon signs or the big pole signs that businesses use. Right now, within the city limits, they can't be any higher than 24 feet. On the bypass, they're allowed to be 40 feet. We have now properties that want to annex in, Tractor Supply was built, stuff that is south of the bypass of 52. And so we're asking to include properties that are zone general commercial that are south of the bypass to go to the same height that what is allowed on the bypass of 40 feet. Before the planning commission, and the planning commission approved it unanimously.
So that would be like Patriot Chevrolet.
Patriot Chevrolet, Sonic, Tractor Supply, nothing
On this side.
nothing on the other side, like Mod Wash, Walmart,
Food line.
Food Lion,
Anything
none of
city.
them would be able to go to 40 feet, but anything that is on the bypass or south of the bypass would be allowed to go to 40 feet.
So it'd be anywhere down the bypass, I would have to buy those if they're.
That's current. The ordinance already allows anything on the bypass to be 40 feet. We would like to include anything south of the bypass.
Oh, you're not limiting what's going on now.
No, ma'am.
You're just keeping, allowing folk to be able to do what's already there. What's already being done.
Well, what's already being done, but we're also increasing it so you know the city's here, right?
Right.
And the bypass goes around it.
Right.
So anything on the bypass currently can go to 40 feet.
Right.
And then we have South Main Street that runs into 52, right? So we're saying anything that's south, on South Main Street, or anything that's south of the bypass to also be allowed to go to 40 feet because the bypass is already allowed to do 40 feet.
So you saying coming into Darlington or on the bypass going out?
Outside of Darlington.
Okay.
Anything going towards Florence would be allowed to go 40 feet.
It's like you said, Tractor Supply.
Tractor Supply.
Things we may put about.
Right, and then as things are contiguous, if we can get things to annex in, they would also be allowed. But only going towards Florence, not coming into the city, so it wouldn't change the cityscape at all.
Do you have a proposed ordinance that says exactly what you just said?
Yes, sir, so if you look at the second page, I completely redid table 6 and added H. Added 2 H, which is already there, 40 feet when located on the bypass US 52, and on parcels south of the bypass on South Main Street US 52, 24 feet when located elsewhere.
All right, it says temporary signs, and I didn't know.
That's because temporary signs is a completely different table.
Okay,
None
so,
of these are pertinent or relevant to temporary signs, they have their own table.
okay.
All
So
of these are
that-
just the
that
parent
really
that-
shouldn't,
That's already on our ordinance. It's so that people know that these parentheticals don't have anything to do with temporary signs. Temporary signs are relevant to the table that's referenced.
so would we be amending the ordinance to add section H that is in red?
No, we would be amending the ordinance to add and on parcels south of the bypass on South Main Street, US 52, 24 there. Because 24 feet when located elsewhere is already part of the ordinance.
So what's the benefit?
The benefit is, as beach traffic is coming in, when traffic is coming from Florence, that the signs are able to be seen. There's a wetlands area, where the trees are grow up, they can't be cut. It will just be more visibility for our current business owners. Especially as you come up
52 towards the city of Darlington. It goes, the 2 lanes, and then there's the lights there, and the traffic there, and there's so much that's going on. A lot of times those signs get missed, or the business owners feel as though the signs are missed.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'd like the motion to approve first reading ordinance 2022-13, change pylon signs maximum height.
Okay.
I'll second it, but when you come back for the second reading, will you have us an actual ordinance typed out so that there's something that says first reading, second reading in the
Yes,
mayor
sir.
room?
Oh, yes, sir, absolutely, just like we
Sign
have.
it.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Nettles?
Yes.
Ms. Backus? Ms. Reed? Mr. Sears, good, very good, motion's carried. All right. And let's see, first reading ordinance 2022-14, change residential uses in general commercial to include multifamily and apartments.
So, currently, in general commercial, multifamily apartment communities are not permitted in the general commercial district, which is out on the bypass. We have general commercial in the city, but none of them would have the land capabilities of having apartment communities, because there are stipulations, if you look at section 420, in our zoning ordinance. So we're coming before you asking for that to be changed, general commercial, to allow multifamily apartments, so that a developer could build an apartment community out on the bypass. There are large buildings that may or may not ever come up for sale, but like in Charleston, South Carolina, in Richmond, Virginia, in Atlanta, Georgia, developers have been able to take old factories or old businesses and keep the outside the same. So for historic purposes, it looks the same, but fix the inside so, it can be residential or it can be retail, turn them into loft apartments and different things like that. And so I researched Charleston, and I researched the city of Florence, and they do allow in business districts and in commercial districts apartment communities. And so we thought that that would be likely advantageous. Hopefully, I've had developers asking about putting apartments. I've had other developers talking about, in residential, but, we're having more call for building in our city. So we need to make our city more buildable. Our square footage is what it is. You can't grow more land. All we can do is annex properties in and then make things more inviting. And so we think that one of the ways that we can do that is to allow apartment communities to be built in general commercial areas that meet all the other criteria. You have to have so many buildings, you have to be so far off, 50% has to be, towards landscaping, and 20% has to, so there's a lot of criteria that goes along with apartment communities, but if we allow that in general commercial, as other jurisdictions do, it might spur development in our city.
So it won't change anything in the smaller port?
It can, because the land mass isn't there.
Okay. So it's really gonna be more specific to the larger areas, the bypass, et cetera?
Yes, sir.
And you've had calls about it, so you know
Yes, sir.
there's some interest.
Yes, sir.
I just don't wanna put the cart before the horse and do it when there's no one looking. It doesn't make sense, so.
So you're saying, so if I understand, our city limit stops right at Bojangles, right?
It does. It kind of goes in and out there. Some of it's in, some of it's out. But along the bypass, we have
City.
land there.
Right,
Right.
right. But going down 52, the city limits runs out at the bypass, Bojangles, from what I understand.
Correct.
So.
Well, and then, right there at Bojangles, and then McKeever, where Tractor Supply stops.
Right.
Right, which is kind of
Right.
crossing Bojangles a little bit.
Right.
So the land that's further out from that as we go out, is any interest, you're saying, in that area, we may be able to?
There's interest on the bypass to put an apartment community.
Okay.
Is there any way we could make this ordinance similar to the signage ordinance we just passed, to where it's specific to the bypass, to the outskirts of our community?
If that's what you'd like to see in the second reading, we can do that.
'Cause
I think I'd be more comfortable with
Me
that.
too. I'd definitely vote for it then, but I'm not sure I could vote for it as it stands, because I worry about, we have such limited commercial property inside the city. I don't wanna take it all over.
Sure. I can add that language.
So, say it again.
So, like we just did with the sign ordinance, we have it where the signs that are outside the bypass, the south side that she described, can be 40 feet or higher, but nothing will change inside the city to not change the cityscape. And I'm asking for the same thing in the ordinance for this commercial. So anything on the south side, essentially of the bypass, or on the bypass, would be allowed to general commercial apartments, multifamily homes, but not inside the city. Because inside the city,
Oh.
we have such a limited amount of commercial land, I want to be careful and try to
So-
protect it.
But so the apartments across from Dixie, what's that?
Credit union,
Yeah,
yeah, they came in, I think asked for a variance, if I'm
I
not
mean,
mistaken.
what is it? I mean, is that multifamily?
Oh, for sure.
Is that apartments?
That's townhouses.
Hmm,
Townhouses.
townhouses, and that's different from apartments.
It's in our ordinance.
I mean, that's what I mean as far as,
We need to work on that too.
so, but it's still, so that, just that's, because he's coming with this.
Sure.
Because, I mean, it's already existing inside the city, as
Sure.
far as I see. To the civilian
Right.
mind, you know.
No,
Sure,
absolutely.
can you explain what the difference between the townhouse and the apartment is?
Really, it's construction in the city's zoning ordinance. The city,
The townhouse is just one, it's like upstairs, downstairs, apartment could be upstairs and a downstairs.
yeah,
person.
well, you have apartment communities that are townhouse communities. You have apartments that are garden-style apartments. You have townhouses, you have loft-style apartments. So, our ordinance says multifamily apartments, triplex, quadplex, duplex, single-family, townhouse. So we break those out as a jurisdiction, we break those out. So if that's something that this council would like to
I
work on.
mean, it seems like we
sure.
could be consistent about this thing, but that's okay. Right now, we need to deal with this. I would like to see that kind of development on the bypass. It's
We can
very
have that
special to me in that respect. And so I definitely have had the same people that maybe have contacted you. I've been in rooms with that. So I'm about this, for sure.
So right now, what was built on, what Sam built over there,
It's a townhouse.
is townhouse.
Those are
Is that not
townhouses.
allowed to be built on the bypass now?
No, those can't be built on the bypass. The only thing that can be built in general commercial are single-family dwellings, houses.
So when that general commercial there, what was that? When general commercial?
I'll have to look, I don't remember. And that was actually rezoned for him.
So we need a motion on this.
A motion with the language specific to the bypass.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve first reading of 2022-14, change residential use in general commercial to include multifamily and apartments south of the bypass.
I'll second.
Second.
Mr. Miller? Mrs. Reed? Mrs. Backus? Gardner, you must have said, Mr. Seegers, okay, very good, motion's carried.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you. All right, C, sewer pump station renovation, change order, Mr. Sugar.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here tonight to talk to you about change order number 3. This will be the final change order for the South Darlington Sewer Pump Station renovation project. We started in July of 2021 with Frankhorn Construction Company. There's 7 miscellaneous items that were not discovered prior to construction that we need to pay for. The contract and total bill is $38.12.
Okay. So for us to go forward, we need to approve this.
Yeah, this is the final change order. This will complete the project. All major construction ended Monday when we did what's known as a drawdown, which is a test of the Alltel pump station. So after this, we're completely through with the project, other than a punch list that was created by our engineering group's inspectors, some items that need to be tidied up, finished up, and we're holding a retainage on the construction company until they finish that, which they say they will do by the first of the year.
This is for where Verizon was out there by the bypass and what other,
Joe Lewis
Boulevard.
Pump Station, the Grove Hill Pump Station, which is a huge, major pump station. On this document, it's called the other one is called the main pump station, but it's actually the old wastewater treatment plant. And Alltel's finished Monday. And this $30,000 represents less than 2% of the cost. This construction project lasted about a year and a half with less than 2% increase in construction costs. I think that's a pretty good deal for, I don't know any construction projects only gain less than 2% in a year and a half, in this past year and a half.
And Hannah Group, they're supposed to, I know the lady down there in Kane Elementary's been asking about her driveway and stuff. That's all on that punch list, right?
Yes, it is. It is. It's a short punch list, but I happen to have it with you, if you'd like that.
No, it's fine.
Yes.
I know she's
Oh, you want one?
been wanting her driveway fixed. Told her the construction company.
Yes, I'm quite aware.
All righty. Okay.
And that fixed the four lift stations.
It's 4 lift stations, Joe Lewis, Alltel, Grove Hill, and what's known on this document is the main pump station, which is the old wastewater treatment plant. Grove Hill and the wastewater treatment plant are regional pump stations for the city of Darlington. They're huge. The other two, Alltel and Joe Lewis, are quite a bit smaller, and they're known as piggyback pump stations. But we got this money through an economic development grant with the South Carolina EDA. We also got a REA grant, and then the appropriation that you and I asked for from the Lord to fund this thing.
That was 300,000, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's move on.
So let me ask a question. Not pertaining to the water department. My question is, what is the status of the Allen Street lift station? Because 6 times this month already, we've had raw sewage on Farm Street. 6 times. So what's the status of the Allen Street lift station?
We bid that job in June, and we got no bidders. So we bid it again in August, and we got 3 bidders, and the lowest bidder being Evans Pavement here in Darlington was low bidder at $1.463 million. At that time, we only had $700,000 to complete that project. So we went back to Community Development Block Grant and asked them for more money. And they said that they would consider giving us $1 million. And in discussions with a lot of people that I know, Mr. Payne and I asked them for $1.2 million instead of the $1 million. We just got that money 2 weeks ago.
We just got notification, they increased their award by $500,000 because of the efforts of Mr. Shooter.
We then turned around and had Mr. Evans asked for an extension on his bid to the first of the year for him to start construction, which we granted him. And we had a pre-construction conference last week, and we signed contracts with him to begin that project. I think January the 6th is the date.
First week of January.
It is supposed to begin.
So we had a bid opening?
We had a bid opening in August about it. I talked to you all about it, and I told you all about it then.
The bid was supposed to be public, right?
It was. It was advertised in the newspaper, and we had no one show up for it, except for the 3 contractors that bid on it. We had it at, let's see, where did we have that one at? We had that one at Mr. Andrews' facility over at the Allen Street Pump Station, over behind the Allen Street Pump Station in that gymnasium.
Stanley.
On the old lift stations, I know you said at one time, they all had different parts and stuff that you had to store on different parts. You were trying to change those, that were the same type of lift station, motor for each lift station. Was that able to be changed?
Yeah, well, the two major pump stations, Grove Hill and but we call it the main pump station, which is the old wastewater treatment plant, were too large to do that with. We did that with Joe Louis and Altel, and we plan to do that again with the Allen Street pump station. The Allen Street pump station not only does the pump station, but it does the gravity sewer on Farm Street. Over on Farm Street, there's a manhole that's like very, very shallow. And we're gonna have to reconstruct that sewer from Farm Street out to South Main, and then a short section on South Main. So that project actually has 3 components to it.
So when are we looking at, where are we at in this process of getting started on this?
We signed a contract with the contractor. He's supposed to begin January, the first week of January.
And what are we doing, or what are you gonna do? Cause I'm going down Farm Street and I'm seeing raw sewage. So what are y'all gonna do to prevent this problem from continually happening on Farm Street until y'all get this done? Because when I go to somebody call me and I go to Farm Street and I see raw sewage coming out of the street, down the street, and all y'all go out there and do is throw some lime on the ground, and that's it. We got a vac truck, why is it not being vacked up? Why is it not being sucked up instead of leaving all this raw sewage on the ground? And then, and I'm seeing the raw sewage going down the street into stormwater drain, which is totally illegal. Totally illegal. That should never happen. And I done brought this to your attention several times. That raw sewage is going in that storm drain. And y'all haven't done anything about it. No, it's not. I've been talking about Farm Street for 2 years. Now, you don't sit there and tell that lie. I've been talking about Farm Street since I got on city council.
Well, since I got here, I've been trying to fix it.
But don't try to fix it.
I finally found the money, and I signed a contract with a contractor.
When raw sewage is running down Farm Street, I expect y'all to go out there with that vac truck and vac it up. Why would you leave that stuff on the street and there's children on Farm Street? I think, if I remember correctly, we got some kind of disease in this county of Darlington now, right? That's dealing with sewage and water, and one of these people actually live on Main Street that has this disease. So try to figure out how you can get that vac truck to Farm Street and clean that mess up. And look at Payne. Payne can't do nothing about me. What are you gonna do?
Hallelujah.
What are you gonna do? You can't even hire your chief of police.
I'd like to, motion to approve the sewer pump station renovation change order for $15,421.12.
I second.
Is it a $15,000 or is it $30,000?
It's $30,000. The total amount is $30,038.12.
I want to amend your motion for that, Brian.
I'd like to amend the motion for $30,038.12.
God bless you.
Bless me.
Mr. Miller? Ms. Baker? Ms. Reed? Ms. Stiggers? Very good, motion is carried. Mr. Carter? Georgia Pacific property donation resolution.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, about a year ago, I started working with Georgia Pacific. This is the property, the vacant lot in front, or right beside the Dixie's Federal Credit Union. And I'm looking forward to, hopefully we're gonna get some grant money to do stormwater right there at Hardy's and First Baptist Church so we can drain it out so it doesn't flood there. And my idea is to, and they're gonna give it to us, we get that property, we can cut across that property instead of going down Broad Street and then cutting down by the veneer mill and save the city $1 to $2 million. So over the last year, we've been going back and forth, and Georgia Pacific has agreed to donate that property. It's about 1.84 acres. It's the large lot and it's the small lot behind it that used to have that trailer that we just tore out. They will give it to us. There is a restrictive covenant in it, and if you'll look under the resolution, under the second paragraph, says it shall not be used for drinking water purposes, and the property shall not be used, occupied, or leased for any school, daycare center, playground, or similar use by children. That's the only prohibited use for it. And I'm bringing this to you to hopefully approve so that we can take possession of that property.
I'll motion to approve the Georgia Pacific property donation resolution.
Second.
Mr. Ellis? Mr. Moon? Ms. Seegers? Okay, Ms. Reed? Ms. Dacus? Mr. Seegers? Very good. Thank you. And thank you to Georgia Pacific for donating that to us. It's a wonderful piece of property that could be used for the city of Darlington. So,
We would be able to use it for further items later on.
okay, splash pad discussion.
We can send that thank you note to
Aggravated.
Georgia Pacific.
We're gonna give them tax credits, what they're gonna get.
I didn't mean to get aggravated, but I got aggravated.
Good evening, council.
I need a splash pad now.
I'm here tonight, and I think you got it in your packet. There's been some discussion of adding a splash pad to the city of Darlington. What you have here is one small idea from one company. I'm waiting on a couple more ideas to come in. What we're looking at is a 40 by 40 to a 50 by 50 pad that has multiple misting stations, a dump bucket. It's not recyclable water. It'll be just circulated through. It'll be able to be put on a timer, or whatever y'all decide. If you wanted to do it where we would have it manned or whatever. But just wanted to bring it to you. We've had some citizens approach us about putting splash pads in. I think we've had some grant money that we're coming into, and this is one thing that it can be used for. That's what you have there. And I've been talking with two different companies. I actually missed a meeting with one yesterday while we were meeting with a tennis court person. But as soon as I get some more quotes, we can bring it back to you. But feel free to take a look at that stuff, and if you have some ideas about what, where, when, how, please give me a call so we can make this happen.
So this is how
As a part of making it happen, will we need to have either a department or an outside source be responsible for monitoring it so that children don't get hurt on it?
No, it would be just like playing on a playground. We could do it where you would have a monitor and we could fence it in and you could charge to go in, or you could do it where it's like a public park and the kids show up with their parents, and we could actually put it on a timer and it can be on for 4 hours in the morning and 4 hours in the afternoon. And that's what a lot of places do. Some people do man it. But a lot of places treat it just like a playground.
I just would like to have two.
Two?
Yeah, whatever. Also,
Okay,
one
here,
that
you write the check, I'll bill you two.
So I didn't see a sheet with the price. What is the price of this thing? I didn't see a price sheet.
Price is not in there, that's just the picture.
That's just the picture.
What's
We
the price?
haven't gotten to that point yet.
That one's $150. That particular one is $150,000.
Okay. Oh, that's why you said.
Thereabouts.
So you want us to,
For information. We'd
This
like to
is for information only, there's no,
bring a couple of those choices back for January so we can kind of.
Will do.
I got to even have
you, sir.
pool and a splash pad.
Gotcha.
At Temple.
Yeah.
Caraway. Look at it. He don't Caraway.
All right, parking lot repaired, 119 East Hampton Street, Mr. Gaines.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm coming before y'all tonight to talk to you about the parking lot on Hampton Street that should have been included in the project that was done about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I'm gonna give you some, just some pictures, y'all can pass them around. A lot of them are the same. This is a project that Lisa came up with, I guess a year and a half, 2 years ago, I'm not exactly sure. They took some Bradford pears down that were on Hampton Street that was causing damage to the sidewalk.
Right.
The tree, the roots actually caused damage to the parking lot as well. I had questions when that project was done, why we weren't looking at doing some repairs to the parking lot. So anyway, that was under the old administration. I was asked to stay out of it, so I stayed out of it. Here we are 2 years later, revisiting the issue, trying to figure out what we're gonna do to try to make it right. The parking lot belongs to Gardner Law Firm, or Mr. Kevin Etheridge, I believe, his father, whoever, but it's the parking lot for Gardner Law Firm and also Mr. C.C. Kirby's investment firm, which is the back side of that building. Parking lot is in bad shape. Like I said, whenever they took the trees down, roots have grown up under the parking lot, up under the asphalt, and caused problems to it. It's left up to y'all whether y'all want to go on private property and make the repairs or not. It's more, originally, it was put out there that we could do it with the hot box. There's a lot more we can do with the hot box. So we put it out for bids. I've actually put it out for bids twice. Probably a year ago when it first came up, then it was put on the back burner. And I put it out for bids again a couple of months ago, got a couple of bids. Of course, the bids have gone up, but y'all should have the bids in your packet. I guess we just need y'all to decide whether y'all want to invest $9,000 or $10,000 on private property, or how do we want to
I
handle it?
don't know that we can invest $9,000 or $10,000 on private property.
That's left up to y'all.
Being a permissible use of city funds.
And that's, like I said, that's left up to y'all. I was just told to present it tonight. Because
I don't
we
have,
got some-
before I can spend something, I need to know that we are not violating any regulations or statutes or city responsibilities. That's my first question.
I've been, Mr. C.C. Kirby, I've talked to him, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but Mr. C.C. Kirby's talked to me several times about it. I think he's talked to Mr. John Payne. His concern was that, you know, he felt like the city should be responsible for it because the city trees, the city, I guess, planted the trees years ago. The city trees caused the problem.
That's the same problem the pastor's got. He feels like we should be responsible because.
Same problem Mr. Cliff Wilson got with his irrigation
City
system.
employee, turn the water on over there. But that was my question. I wanted to know, the trees were city, I mean, when we cut them, that was city, was it on their property as well?
No, the trees were in the right of way. Trees were in the right of way in between the road and the sidewalk.
Yeah, but here's one. In fixing the other sidewalk things that was caused by tree roots and everything, did we clear up the damages that the tree roots have done in other areas? And why is this one being excluded? I don't understand that part.
No, it did not.
Huh?
I can't speak, you talking about other areas or
Yeah,
the area,
where
other
we
areas
had it
around
clear.
town?
Yeah.
I can't speak about other areas around town. I just know that when this project was put together,
right,
they pulled up all the sidewalks, they cut the trees down,
right,
they got the stumps up, then they re-poured the sidewalks, they didn't do anything to the asphalt. And right now, there's still tree roots up under the asphalt. And if you look at some of the pictures, you can see where it's raised up. And so,
And Judge, to your point, it wasn't private property that caused this problem, it was the city property. That,
It would seem like it'd be a claim against the insurance company type thing for the city as opposed to the city. If the Attorney General's office can give us.
I can ask for an Attorney General's opinion, but I don't, this is something that was, and Mr. Payne, they came along and about a year ago, and I said, I understand you got your hands full. It probably should have been dealt with when all the rest of them were dealt with. I'm not exactly sure why it wasn't dealt with at that point. But we've got a huge liability issue. I mean, people walking in and out of there are just prone to really bust their tails.
the way I looked at it was, when I walked over and looked at it, I'm the one that said bring the hot box until I walked down and looked at it, because when I rode by, I saw a little strip there, and just I thought you could take a little strip. But somewhere, somebody planted trees there a long time ago, the city did. Now, if again, I don't know the laws, again, I'm with Mr. Billy, and I think we need to make sure we're clear, but I know that if a tree falls by act of nature on somebody else's property, sometimes you're liable, sometimes you're not liable. But the trees that were planted there, whether it tore up the asphalt when they pulled them up or not, I wasn't there, but you can look and see that the tree roots are have grown into his parking lot. It extruded into off of the right of way into the person's property. Just like the water, I mean, it's nobody deliberately put a tree, I think we go tear it up, nobody deliberately went out and tried to turn water on Phil Man's parking lot, it's building up with water, but it happened. And so therefore, whether the city should pay for it, but that's what we got insurance for. Can we file it to the insurance? The insurance helps pay for it, I don't know. But it did tear up their property, and his parking lot. His parking lot is right beside the right of way, and what we put there beside the right of way overgrew into his yard. So who's responsible, I don't know legally, I don't know.
My thing, it seems like we always skirting what it is. We had a project to cut down trees because they were damaging the sidewalks, and that these trees was planted by the city that has caused damage other than the right of way or the whatever that we call it. Clear it up. Why is this a hassle? I don't understand it. It seems like it just doesn't make. We need to, let's just stop this hassle. Do the right thing, as Pastor Kyle said.
See this, Elaine. I think you're right. We need to address some of these problems, and I'm saying what Mr. Miller's is saying is we may not even have the authority to do private property, but there's a few incidents that has taken place where this city have done private property. So if we're gonna do it for one, then we need to do it for them all. Because we have done it, and there's incidents in writing where we have done it. That we can't pick and choose who we do and who we fix stuff for and who we don't fix. Because if we don't step out there and do for John Doe, then we need to do for Jane Doe. Just that simple.
I think it needs to be addressed, but I think the issue is that I think Mr. Etheridge would agree with me, because we both are kind of the same boat. We don't want to look like we're trying to fix your parking lot, fix my building, or whatever else, so I'll kind of stay out of it. I feel like he's done the same way, he wants to have it. But I agree that it's messed up, it's parking lot. I'm fine with insurance paying for it, we pay for it or something, but I'm agreeing.
I hope y'all with me. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the parking lot repair for 119 East Hampton Street.
Well, I don't think, wait a minute, hold that thought.
Hold that thought.
I don't think you need to say that, or put that on the floor, because we didn't do the same thing for Pastor
Kyle Myers.
Yes, so we can't put it on the floor for one and not on the floor for the other.
Well, no, this on the agenda. That's
Still.
It should
we
be
have to put his on the agenda to be able to vote on that.
Right, well, what I'm saying, we should.
I mean, it was just coming.
I think you should do what Judge Billig said and send it to our insurance adjuster, our insurance company, and let them make a determination, and then we can have an executive session just like we're gonna do with Pastor's Church. If they don't come to a fair resolution that we're comfortable with.
Well, it appeared, in this, you said this is 2 years in the making? That we have not dealt with it, and that's what I'm saying. We just skate it, we just keep putting things off. When this is a simple solution to this, because the city planted the trees that caused the problem, they cleared it up in some areas, clear this up.
I don't think anybody
It just
that.
is-
I think we're all agree that it needs to be taken care of. We just
We need to be taken care of, we agree to that.
And that's the right way. It's all, cause it's already been done in other areas. It's like we're picking and choosing whatever that we gonna do. I'm just saying that we do what we have done with the project. If we have done that in other areas, just do the same thing.
Well, and that's not, I can't make that
I know
call.
it's not you, I'm simply, that's why I'm saying it.
And this wasn't my project to start with, this was a project
Come on,
somebody
y'all,
else
we got
did. I'm just here to clean it up, I guess, or try to help clean it up. But anyway,
Mr. Mayor,
whatever y'all decide to do.
I'll get with the property owner, and we'll have a claim filed, and we'll see where it lands.
If that doesn't come through, then we come right back to it.
Then we'll go to I'll ask the Attorney General for an opinion, and we'll go from there.
So do we not need to put it on the agenda just to have it as an earmark for January or whatever?
Not until the,
Again.
not until the,
I don't know how long it'll take the AG. Let's see what the insurance adjuster says first.
Well, what I don't want to happen is for it to not be on the agenda.
It won't go away.
Okay.
Okay, what are we talking about here now? I mean, which one, what are we talking about?
File a claim to the insurance. We pay the insurance, see what the insurance is like. The insurance tells us no, then we go to the next step.
For agenda item F,
For the
is what
parking
we're
lot.
just talking about.
Parking lot, yes, ma'am. Yes.
And what I'll do is I'll have the city attorney talk to the property owner.
You are the city attorney. We had to be right comical.
All right, new business G, 2023 city council meeting calendar.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it's December, so it's just time to put out the meeting schedule for your regular meetings next year. The first will be January 10th. February will be the 7th, March 7th, April 4th, May 2nd, June 6th. Remember July, you've got the 4th of July, and then we'll have the Municipal Association Conference. So that will be the 11th, then August 1st, September 5th, October 3rd, November 14th, because Election Day will be on the first Tuesday of the month, and I don't think anybody wants to be here on Election Day, so we'll do it the week after, on November 14th, and we'll wrap it up on December 5th of next year.
So just as a quick overview, it's the first Tuesday of every month except for January, July, and November, correct?
Correct.
You got to bring me a cake on June the 6th.
Well,
It's my birthday.
mine's the 7th, so we'll have a big day.
All right, very good, thank you.
I'd like to,
Do I have a motion to go into executive session pursuant to SC Code of Laws 30-4-45 for proposed contractual agreements, incidental to proposed purchase of property, the council may act following executive session.
before we do that, Mayor, I'd like the motion to approve the 2023 city council meeting calendar.
Mr. Millie? Mr. Backus? Reed? Steve, very good, thank you.
I'd like the motion that we go into executive session pursuant to the South Carolina Code of Law 30-4-40, proposed contractual agreement.
I'll second.
Brian cannot take the smoke break.
Five-minute break.